Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Accuracy in America, brought to you by Accuracy in Academia. I should say this is episode number 288. We're creeping towards 300 of this version, Brian. So I don't know how many we've done overall. 400 or more together.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's been going on a long time.
Yeah, I haven't counted all the other ones. And that after that Facebook page got wiped away by Facebook a few years ago, that other one is like, I have no way of counting.
Wing.
Yeah. So anyway, just before we get started, we're having a little bit of a cool spell.
Yeah, it's football weather, just as football is getting here.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. It already has a scrimmage Thursday night. So might need a light wrap for that. I was at the Nats last night, and you kind of needed sleeves, not much, just a little.
Yeah, no, I get up really early and go to the gym, and I really, for whatever reason today, I wasn't paying attention to the temperature outside. And then by the time I looked, I thought, I'm not putting on more workout clothes or whatever. But it was about 52 or 53, which is several degrees below my comfort level of walking out of the house in shorts. May not be for you, probably wouldn't be for my youngest son, but it was definitely that's a little bit on the nippy side.
Yeah. August. Yep, that's right. It was a near record cold last night.
Is that right? Well, that makes sense to me because I'm thinking like, what the heck's going on here? I guess we're going to get a little closer to normal next week. So I might even cut my grass a little early just to take advantage of the fact that it's cooler.
It's been really nice. And after some hot, humid, I guess we were getting the remnants of a hurricane that never got to the shore. So very hot and humid. Thing, we've had a pretty hot and humid and even a wet summer, so it's nice to have to get a little bit of a cooling off period for now, even if it's only going to be for a few days. I'll take it. There you go.
All right. So that wraps up the show because there's no news out there whatsoever.
Not much happening.
There's nothing going on.
Dog days of summer.
Yeah. Typical dog days of summer. Why are we even doing this show? All right. So we'll cover a little bit of the foreign affairs kind of thing like that, and then we'll come back over here and talk about what's been happening here. So Ukraine has been just going full bore into Russia. I guess Putin made some comments yesterday or whatever. I don't think he's a happy camper at all. They're not taking like huge towns necessarily, but they definitely threw off the Russians, and they have been capturing Russian soldiers and things like that. I don't know.
If you came into the United States and you took Wilmington, North Carolina, right? That's one of the first places you would get to. It's like Wilmington, North Carolina is not that important to the American scene, but we would get really, really excited if that happened, right? Some things would start to pop all over the place. It's true. And they've done a good job of redirecting Russia's attention, right, from slaughtering them and degrading them to defending its homeland, which is a good move. It doesn't bring the war any closer to being over, which, if you're the Ukrainians, you now need to reverse some stuff before you just quit, right? Otherwise, you lock in the Russian gains. What Putin is starting to say, this is probably the most concerning part about all this, is that, hey, you guys, the Ukrainians are shooting us, but they're shooting us with your weapons. So at some point, we're going to start holding the people responsible who provided the weapons, and that puts us in the crosshairs. So, I don't know what he plans to do, but he is thinking along those lines, and we would be wise to think now about how to manage that situation.
I think the propaganda machine is well underway in Russia. I'm spending more time lately watching streaming news And so I switched between ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And just depending upon the commercials and stuff like that. And so they were talking about this whole thing. And so I think it was ABC that had interviewed some of the citizens in Russia, and, so you're now getting this reaction, of like, this is bad. We've got to do something. And the Ukrainians are. So I mean, it would fortify Putin's position, right? I mean, you get every people that they interviewed all happen to be people who were for the war in essence, and they thought this is something that only emboldens or helps Putin in terms of with his citizens and whatnot, which we don't want. But the other things I'm reading too are just, this is really a gamble by Zelensky. It did surprise Putin. It has thrown them off balance a little bit, but Ukraine was now at the point where they're very stretched for soldiers. And so by putting putting this effort out, they are now exposing other parts, where they're defending to Russia could more easily overrun them there while they do this. So they wind up fighting the war, on two fronts at the same time, which can be very tricky if you're from people. Now, also one more thing in there is that Russia's still having a problem with their troops, even though they can keep throwing people at it because they're a larger country. Is that they're fiercely going after deserters. They are trying to track down their deserters. So we have that.
Ours are running for vice president, but that's another number.
All right. So any thoughts about that?
I think it's right. The Russians are not going to accept incursion on their territory. The Ukrainians have said they're not trying to hold land. That's good because they're not going to be able to hold it. And we're getting close to the point where the blowback could extend to Europe or whatever. It already does to a lot of extent, but so I mean we are literally poking the bear. So if that's it's okay if that's what they want to do, but they need to do it with eyes wide open because the Russians mean it.
There was one more thing I saw that I don't know. I thought it was kind of. I don't want to say it's amusing because it is war, but it was a Ukrainian general or captain, whoever. They were on this incursion. They had encountered a small group of Russian soldiers, and they wanted. They basically told them to surrender, and they wouldn't surrender, so we eliminated them.
Well, that's how war works.
Yeah, but it was. I don't know. I read that and I thought, that is like you said, that's how war works. I don't know. Boy, that is so brutal. But it's like, hey, look, if you were told to surrender, and you're outnumbered, maybe you ought to think about that.
Yeah, you ought to surrender. Yeah.
I don't know what people are putting to their soldiers' heads about that. It's like, you must die for the motherland. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they tell them don't surrender. Maybe they say just go down with the ship or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have surrendered, right?
I would surrender. That's true. All right. The other thing here is Israel. So not to anyone's surprise, or at least our surprise, Hamas has rejected the latest ceasefire proposal. I guess Israel has agreed to some bridging solution and then also they managed to recover 6 bodies of hostages. There's apparently 109 still left, including 8 Americans. We don't know the status of those people, but I think based on how things have been going, you can assume that a large number of those people are dead. That they've been killed. But once again. Hamas is not interested in a solution. They keep talking about we need a ceasefire in Gaza. We need to do this. But that's just that strategy, right? We just want to regroup so we can go and then be able to go and hit Israel harder. This is not about having peace in the Middle East. This is not about a two-state solution. Any of this stuff. They have their own opinion, and they're going to reject every single thing down the line. And the leftists are just totally blind behind it.
They'll eventually accept something when it becomes politically expedient to do so. They're the problem now is, if they can't accept anything that allows Israel to exist, right? They've said we're fighting until Israel doesn't exist, from the river to the sea, right? So I guess the other thing is, and I think this could be a serious thing, is Judy Woodruff, I guess, PBS. She reported that Trump was calling Netanyahu, telling him to refuse the peace deal. Now, my understanding is Netanyahu approved it, right? It's the Hamas that said no, correct? The Israelis had agreed to it, correct? So, if Trump was talking to him, he wasn't being very persuasive. And there's no evidence that he was talking to him, right? It seems like that PBS essentially made up a story to help Biden in the campaign, because there's no proof of it. And even friendly media now is starting to say, we really don't see that this one really happened, guys. But that it doesn't stop them. That could be PBS is under some pressure. They don't understand that, because that's a really arrogant little outfit over there. But Uri Berliner really hurt them. Like, he's given all these guys an excuse to turn against them and to go back to being concerned about public money being spent to express opinions that only favor one side, right, and all that stuff. So, and now this comes along. They don't need to be making up lies about Donald Trump at this time in this situation, because you very easily end up with no public funding.
Yeah.
I think it's we've been talking about, on our side, we've talked about defunding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting for decades, right? But you will have a chance in the next Congress because of stuff like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to need a Republican Congress probably to make that move forward, I guess.
Well, it's starting to look like you will have a Republican Congress.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good bit of momentum starting to shift that way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we're going to go. I mean, so obviously, what's dominating the news cycle, really for the most part, is the presidential race. The Democrats they've now had two days worth of their convention. They've got today and tomorrow to wrap it up. They have tonight with Tim Walz, and then tomorrow with Kamala Harris, and then they're done. And I think they've done their ceremonial roll call vote. So California put her over the top. So that's the thing I had been wondering about last week, about whether or not they were going to do a ceremonial roll call. They did do that, so that the delegates could participate in a roll call. Even though it meant nothing. Even though 14 million people voted for Joe Biden and 0 voted for Kamala Harris, all of this nonsense that brings you to the top of the ticket.
Yeah, that's the thing about Democrats. They want things that look like stuff, but are not really that stuff. All right, there wasn't really a roll call. I mean, they'd already done it, right? It didn't really, no one really voted for Harris now that, she has 100% popularity in the party or whatever, and it's like there's a bunch of things there that they're not real, and they know they're not real, and they know they're not real, and they know they're not real, but they don't care, right? That doesn't bother them. They don't care. They'll play charades all day long.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so fake, because they'd already had their virtual roll call, whatever, to make for the nominee, to set up this convention. So, this roll call had zero bearing on the outcome, but this allowed the delegates on television, right? I mean, this is really a made-for-TV event more than anything else.
Right.
We did it. Maybe there are people out there that didn't realize that this was already a done deal, and there's nothing, there's no reality to this whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, just
they even had like a disc jockey doing stuff through it or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
okay, right.
It is the DNC in doing things. I mean, because I am peeking in from time to time and seeing how the network is covering this convention and everything like that. I mean, so we had the first night, which was built around Joe Biden and everything like that. But it was.
And then they ran so long that like. Joe came on stage at 11:30. He told us, a few months ago, he can't stay up past 8, right? And here he is at 11:30 before he even gets to start. It was after midnight before he got finished. And that speech was, it was Joe's great as his. It was basically his stump speech, amped up a little bit. And, almost everything in it was a proven lie, right? The good fine people hoax, inject bleach hoax. All the hoaxes just lined up in a row. The other thing is, somebody keeps putting out, I don't know if you see this on Twitter, but it's like they mentioned the economy 3 times. They mentioned Ukraine 4 times. They mentioned immigration 2 times. They mentioned Trump 192 times, right? They're obsessed with Trump. All they're talking about is Trump. All Obama talked about last night was Trump. All his wife talked about was Trump, right? He lives rent-free in their heads. And I think that the nation noticed, I think the balance tip, something must have happened last night where people looked at that ticket and said, no, this is not how we're going to do. Because like you wake up this morning, the poly market, the betting market for elections has got Trump with a 5-point lead, right? He hasn't been ahead by more than a point or two since the early days of her becoming, the nominee. The Rasmussen overnight, they're doing daily tracking on this now. She was 2 points ahead yesterday. She's 10. I mean, he was 2 points ahead yesterday. He is 10 points ahead today. Now, I don't think tomorrow is going to show 10 or 12 or 17 or, a progression. In fact, my guess is tomorrow will be back down around 4 or 5, where it makes sense that the race would be. But they've shot all the wads and all the weapons in their arsenal, and they have Walls' speech, which will be kind of crazy. But I mean, even they are admitting. I saw something today. One of them saying, he pumps up his stories a little bit. He's not quite all that accurate about what he says, but he's still better than J.D. Vance somehow, right? So they're to the point of managing the problem that he's serially dishonest. They're not trying to deny it or evade it anymore. They're just saying we're just going to factor it into what we do, right? Factored into our math. He has tonight. She has tomorrow night. I'm sure that they will have their showmanship, drama stuff cranked up to 11, and it'll look good to them, and then we'll walk away saying that we've got a winning hand, and it looks like it's already going thud.
Yeah. So let's start with poly market. Yeah. I don't know. I meant to look into this, and I haven't. I don't know how poly market has done in presidential elections for the end result, how close they've been. Okay. So I don't have any empirical evidence to say anything about this per se in terms of accuracy. But several weeks ago. I mean, this was before Harris got in the race. Trump was well ahead of Biden and polymarking the betting markets. And the other polls were also showing a lot of Trump's strength. Harris jumps in the race, and all that momentum and that honeymoon, that whole "we love Kamala" stuff came in. And then it reversed. And then Harris got to a point where she was up, she was up like 54 to 45 or something like that. So, and then as I watched the last few days, it just started to turn around, to what we said, 52-47 for Trump. That to me is a dramatic turnaround. I mean, that says that, like you said, they stopped their wad, and things are going to, you're going to start seeing the polls, starting to go back more toward where they were before. I mean, the race may still be close, on a popular vote basis.
Yeah, it will be.
But I think electorally, for the electoral college, I think Trump still, I think he still has the path to victory there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, first night. Okay, so as you said, Biden's speech got delayed, and there was they were saying that, well, this is because of all the applause, whatever, for the speakers and whatnot. Though there were others who were saying this was a purposeful design by those who pushed Biden out of this primetime slot, where everybody was tired, they wanted to go home, and they just only the true faithful were going to sit there with that "we love Joe" sign, right? And then you have Nancy Pelosi, holding up one of those "we love Joe" signs. One of the chief architects of getting him out of the race is there, trying to say, "We love you, Joe." I guess in the sense that we love you, thank you for listening to us and dropping out, and getting to our pressure point and saying, you're no longer wanted.
And to me, it would be fascinating to maybe Jill will do this for us at some point. For someone to say what really happened there, because the facts of that, as I understand them, kind of don't add up, right? So Pelosi says that she went there to tell Biden to retool his campaign, not to drop out, but you need to get a new direction and maybe some new people, and you need to take a fresh approach to this because you're falling behind. So, and it is largely hung on her by, like you just said, that she's the one who forced him out, or she and Schumer and whoever, right, are the ones who got him out of the race. So, it would seem like a dumb lie to tell, right? So I'm kind of like, maybe that is what she went there for. And then if it is, why did it work out like that? If she didn't go there to kick him out, then how did he get kicked out? Right? And she basically in charge of the party. She's basically their decision maker, right? So I don't know. Something happened up there. I think that part of it that we'll never know about, probably, maybe we will, maybe Jill will spill this too, is, he got sick in Vegas, right? That's come out, right? There was code 3 medical emergency, and it was so bad that they didn't take him to the hospital. They put him on the plane, put the doctors on the plane, because they didn't want anybody to see that this was going on. So they treated him on Air Force One in the air as he was flying back to Washington from Las Vegas. So, what happened there? Was, how sick was he? How close were we to having a President Harris then? I don't know. And I can also see him if she gets stuck in this, right? She gets to where they can see they're 8 or 10 points behind, and there's not really any way to move it. And he'll go ahead and drop out and let her say she's president for a little while. Try to give her some momentum, show that she can run the country. Hey, nothing blew up when we put her in charge. Maybe just vote for her.
Yeah, so, I still have a hard time, when the president was saying that, he dropped out because he loves this country, more than, and that's kind of why he did this. The pressure, he was. This is a job that he wanted all his life, right?
Right.
He's been in politics for something like 52 years. He wanted to see this through to the end, until 2028. That was his goal. He didn't want to leave, but I mean, when you have these party people that got in there and that told him you've got to go. You're hurting our down ballot candidates. You can't win this race anyway, and all of these kinds of things. That was a big blow to him. But I don't think maybe in a future memoir, if he's around long enough, maybe he'll actually admit what happened here. We'll get more of the inside skinny in terms of how that developed. What happened there. With all of that. But Nancy Pelosi, in an interview, she's kind of like, I didn't have a problem with him. I had a problem with his campaign or something. I mean, they found ways of dancing around the issue of what was going on there, and there was obviously several issues there.
And the way Pelosi thinks, that's plausible, right? I mean, she thinks about the wrap-up smear, like the techniques of campaigns, right? The technical aspects of campaigns and how to use information against your opponent and so forth. That's kind of her area of expertise. So, to me, it's like if she may have, identified a problem with the campaign that she could solve, or she could suggest a way to solve.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot more to learn from all this. I mean, I guess there were some Biden people too that were saying that the president was not happy with how what all the delays and the time he started, as well. I mean, you mentioned Patrick's bedtime. It's kind of amazing that he actually lasted as long as he did, considering how late it was getting.
It was after midnight where he was done.
Yeah. So that also makes it hard for the television coverage because they certainly didn't want to be there all night long. They weren't planning on being there all night long. And a lot of them did actually criticize the Democrats for what they thought was disorganized.
Yeah, it's disorganized. It was disorganized last night. It's a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
They're like that.
To me too. I mean, I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. It's like this is the sitting president, the president of the United States. And you allow this to happen. You allow the speech to get kicked back by about an hour or so. I mean, this is not. I mean, that's not respectful at all to him.
Right. That's right.
If you're going to make this swan song, or as what was it? I just his name, Scott Jennings, I think, from CNN said, eulogy. Come on! I mean, you don't push him off like that. I mean, I think this is incredibly disrespectful by the Democrats to push this back like
that. Right, that's right. Is who said that's what I'm saying? Who said no? Who said you got to go? And what did they say to where he said, "Okay, you're right, I'll go"? Because the hagiography of Joe Biden never stops, right? So they say that he was negotiating this hostage deal with Russia, and I guess there were 2 or 3 other countries involved, right? Up to the hour of having the meeting where he was told he can't run again, where he was kicked out of the race, or however they want to put it, coup or whatever. So if he's doing the job of president there, and they come in and say, okay, well, you can't run for re-election, how did that happen? Who did that? And how did they make that work? How did they make him accept it, right? Is there a big check written at some point? That wouldn't surprise me. I think a big problem the Bidens are going to have is, they keep saying Trump's running to stay out of jail. They are too at this point. And they're running to stay out of the poorhouse because the money is, they've lived very, very high dollar lifestyles for a long time, thanks to their grifting and their, selling influence and stuff around the world. They're about to have no influence to sell whatsoever.
Okay, that's an interesting point there too, because it's kind of like they have capitalized, like a lot of politicians, on their influence and their connections behind this. But
and they've straight out sold policy outcomes.
Yeah.
Right. We will fire Victor Shokin for $1 million, you know, or $5 million, whatever it was.
But when you have a sitting president who leaves office like this, this late in the campaign, I mean, how much in demand would he be for speaking? I mean, why would anybody hire him to speak anyway? Because they watched him at the debate, and when we have seen him, he's such a gas machine, and it only got worse as time went along. He's not going to be like Bill Clinton or Barack Obama commanding these huge speaking fees.
Right, and the other thing is, Bill Clinton and a lesser, but some extent, Barack Obama, when they went out speaking after it, Bill Clinton was promoting the Clinton Global Initiative and new approaches to breaking up poverty and so forth. It doesn't work, pie in the sky or whatever. But he had something to talk about. He had something to say that you had not heard from him before. What is Biden? I mean, you saw the speech last night in Charlottesville. Drinking bleach hoax. It was just slam Trump for stuff that's been largely disproven. Talk about how bad Trump is in a way that he's been doing for 5-6 years now.
Yeah, and as you said, there's a number of mentions about Trump, that he's living rent-free in their head. I mean, this is the continuance of Trump derangement syndrome by the Democrats, is that they focus on Trump and they don't really talk about policy, right? As a result of that. So there's nothing substantive that's really come out of this convention so far, except let's extol our record, which also is a problem. I mean, Biden is talking about what he and Kamala did together, but Kamala is trying to distance herself from some of those policies at the same point in time. She's like, look, you can't cherry pick this. You can't have it both ways.
That's right. And he's, there's a lot of material out there, him saying what a great partner she is and how closely she worked on all this stuff. It's going to be very hard for her to get completely, free from the stuff he messed up. I mean, I don't see how she does it. But the way, the only way that any of that happens, where she's held to account for her views or his views or the mixture or whatever, is if, the press gets a chance to get her to clarify some of this stuff. For instance, is she for fracking now? Yes or no? I don't know. She said, she's the only time, the last time she actually addressed it, no, the answer was no. Clearly no. No way, no fracking. And now there's a statement unsigned that's not signed by her or her campaign or anybody saying she changed her mind. Okay, is that statement accurate? Who wrote it? Did they do it on your authority? Do you mean this? Why did you change your mind? When do those questions get asked, right? And if you're Pennsylvania or somebody, or Louisiana, like where I'm from, North Louisiana, there's a lot of fracking. Can you trust her? I don't know. Right?
And it's not like we don't have her on tape, right?
Yeah, we got our own tape saying no fracking. We got a unsigned statement from a low-level press aide saying she changed her mind. I mean, what do you believe and why?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, it's what these positions that she wants to take up. There are ways of finding out, like, all of a sudden you're doing this, but back in 2021 you said this or whatever. Oppo research on this will not be hard to find things where she took the opposite point of view. So she's giving the Trump campaign, a lot of ammunition in that way. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Obama. So I think they're probably going to be the highlight of this convention. Obamas are held in high regard within the Democrat Party, and they can do no wrong. So Barack and Michelle, their speeches last night, and in the run up to this, I kept seeing on the news, Obama's speech in 2004 about there isn't an America for America, there's a United States, there isn't a conservative, America, there's a liberal America, and yet during his term, we became much more divided. This was a guy that had promised to bring everybody together. He said that we were divided, and he was going to work with both sides. He was going to bring them together. And that was really the beginning of seeing the divide get even wider. And the Biden administration sure hasn't done anything to bring the sides together. They have continued to drive a wedge in between conservatives and liberals in the country, and just because they've gone left while the country doesn't want to go left, at all. And so they continue to make this divide even larger. And then they played the speech from Michelle talking about when they go low, we go high, which is, to me has always been a laughable thing because they went low, they've gone low.
They're the ones who go low.
And they've been going low during convention.
Yeah, I mean it's been nothing but a just brutal attack on Trump. I think that's why the poly market flipped on him, and Pennsylvania flipped on him, Michigan flipped on him, Georgia flipped on him. States were there, they had established a polling lead. It all flipped back to Trump in the last day or so, and part of it is their entire convention is ripping Trump, and that makes them happy. They're all laughing at their cute little laugh lines and everything. But that's not what America's interested in. America has said Trump is a politician, right? He's one of the guys running for office. You may like his policies better, or the other people's policies better, but he's not some freak threat beyond, what he means to policy and so forth, just by being Donald Trump. The idea that the idea that this guy be a president again, it's just unacceptable. It's like, no, it's acceptable. Well, a lot of people find it acceptable.
Yeah. I mean, I look at her surge in the polls, that we've seen for the last few weeks is that she's been the bright, shiny new object to the extent of you've got a black Indian woman running for vice, who's the vice president, running for president, all this stuff, and so people were more curious than anything else, right? But the more that comes out of the convention, the more that comes out of her mouth as she goes around the country stumping, that bright, shiny new object starts to get a lot duller.
That's right.
People start to realize there's really nothing there. I mean, that thing that speech she gave the duality of our country, where she's once again going around in circles, and you're just like, what is she saying? What is she doing? She's now running for president of the United States, and she keeps going around in a circle, and leading people to wonder, like, I don't even know what she just said. How do you vote for someone when you can't figure out what she just said?
And she's also, there's a lot of rumors going around that she's an alcoholic. And I'm not sure that I disbelieve all of them. You look at the statements she gives, she doesn't do this. She'll definitely get knocked out if she does what I'm doing right now.
Well, I haven't seen you cough like this in a while.
In a long time.
Yeah.
And my wife left me 2 cough drops, and it wasn't enough. They know I'm sick. They know I'm hanging on here.
Not like the old days when we were here together. I could just feed you cough drops.
That's right.
So yeah. I don't know. We had that. Plus, I also want to say too. We had Hillary, giving a talk, giving her speech, talking about the glass ceiling and all this stuff, and then taking a shot at Trump as well. And all this. And look, Trump is a lightning. So he's fair game for things. I don't have a problem with that. But it is kind of funny to see, as I said before, they spend all this time on Trump, and they're not spending really any time on policy, right? I mean,
well,
I saw Stephanie Grisham talk last night, all of what, maybe 5 minutes. I'll tell you, she looked a little scary. It's like such a waste of time. I mean, she's not helping. She wasn't helping the Democrats really at all. I mean, she didn't say or do anything that that I thought would hurt Trump or encourage more people to vote. Take the never Trumpers or whatever, or
you talking about Hillary?
Get them to vote. Her speech was nothing. It was really kind of worthless.
Yeah, it's just bitter. They're just still bitter that he beat them.
Bitter Boulevard.
Yeah, whatever, she can say whatever she wants, but he's been president and she never will be.
Yeah.
And that is what drives her the most nuts.
Yeah. So one of the problems Kamala is facing is she's tried to roll out this economic policy. And the first thing I saw when she talked about it was that she was going to stop corporate price gauging, not gouging, but gauging. So she was going to gauge gouging. I don't know.
I think you have to allow them to gauge their prices.
So she was doing that. But this is what Soviet style price control. I mean, look, or as the Wall Street Journal said, she's embraced Nixonomics. This is not. Look, there are liberals that came out and said wrong, right? They said
the Washington Post is like, we wait all this time, and we get a bunch of gimmicks.
Yeah,
that's pretty harsh from the Washington Post.
Yeah, I mean, is it Obama's economic advisor or was that Furman?
Bernstein, David Bernstein.
Yeah, and I think Catherine Rappel, I think Maureen Gabbard, they've all panned her, and they're all liberals, right? They're all dyed-in-the-wool liberals, talking about this. But yeah, this is complete pandering, vote-buying type of an effort. With whoever thought this up and thought that this was going to work is just ridiculous.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I saw this clip, which I assume was just a clip, just kind of where she's talking about how much prices have gone up. Bread's gone up like 50%, and meat's gone up.
Right.
And then right at the end of that clip, it's like, I'm Donald Trump and I approve this message. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's a campaign commercial. That's all you need to do. You could run that night and day, and you would take a lot. You get a lot of swing voters going your way because they can look at their bank accounts, they can look at their paycheck, and they can see how much money is still going to feed themselves and clothe themselves and things like that. The basics, since Biden and Harris took office, and price gouging doesn't factor into this. There are so many things that have happened in our system that have created this inflationary environment, including a lot of government spending. Where we're just ramped up the spending big time and just been pushing so much money into the system. What are you going to do? So. I don't know. I don't know if you're teaching her economics, but it's all commonomics, whatever.
Commie.
Or commonomics. This friend of mine had also pointed out that too. Is that none of this is going to work. You and I had talked about how Biden had
not even a Democrat Congress would give her this. Right? You're going to fix housing prices. You're going to fix grocery prices. You're going to fix fuel prices. You're going to charge people if they go up on their prices, right? You're going to criminally charge them. You could not get that legislation through even a Democrat, both houses Congress. No way.
I mean, all you have to do is look around the world where they have tried, where the government has been involved in this level of price fixing and price control, and then you see the results, and you see what has happened to the goods and everything else that has gone out there.
Like Malay, right, in Argentina.
Right.
He took off the price controls. Like, housing has exploded. The prices have gone down. They went from a housing crisis to everything being solved in a matter of weeks when they took off the government controls. It's these are the things she's suggesting. The point is, these are some things that the entire political spectrum in the United States has looked at and said that won't work. Right? It's not just the right; it's that condemns these policies. No one is for this.
And both Harris and Trump, we've heard this before. I mean, they've talked. They want to do the no tax on tip things. Well, that's not going to go anywhere either, because Congress isn't going to put that through either. Doesn't matter which party's in power. That's not going to make it through Congress either, because it's unworkable.
Yeah, and they did it right. It's unworkable, and you're those people have been you're going to say essentially one profession doesn't have to pay taxes. They're obviously making a living that they can support their family on, or they would quit doing it, right? So, I don't know. I don't think they're going to pass either.
Both sides were pandering at this point for that.
But the point is, though, he said it, and then she said it and claimed she didn't copy it. Our proposal's better.
That is kind of funny, though. I mean,
his proposal helps the rich, but my proposal doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go back to Bill Clinton's years, right? I mean, Republicans, pushed, all these proposals about, welfare and work and all these kinds of things. And what did Clinton do? He went ahead and started implementing a lot of these same ideas. I saw this in Maryland too, in the gubernatorial race the first race between Paris Glendening and Ellen Gabbard. She was talking about cutting taxes and doing these things. And she almost beat Glendening, and maybe she really did, because there was a lot of,
some hacky-packy in that race.
The vote, did some dead people wind up in there? So, it was a little bit, we weren't quite sure. The next 4 years later, she got beat, more soundly. But Glendening also did the same thing. He enacted similar proposals so that when he ran 4 years later, he could say he did something like that. So he took away the Republican idea, which was core to their platform and everything like that. Speaking of which, too, is that for whatever reason, the Democrats, I guess, just never got around to emphasizing Joe Biden's name out of the platform, right?
Oh yeah, that's pretty funny. Joe Biden's second term, he's going to do this. That's right. Made a proofread, guys.
Yeah. So they missed a few things. They're not quite hitting on all cylinders.
They're not. It's a little bit rough over there.
Yeah.
They also have 100,000 protesters outside talking about Hamas, so they really can't go anywhere. It's a hot mess, and there's people fighting the cops and burning the flag and all that stuff that really helps your candidate.
Yeah, I mean, I know I saw a story about, I guess the other night, the arena, the United Center hadn't filled yet. But part of the problem apparently was that a lot of the delegates were caught on buses that were held up because of the protesters. They couldn't get through to get to the United Center. So, I hope that sends a message to some of those delegates. It's like these protesters, they're affecting your ability to actually get to your convention and participate in democracy.
That's right.
And do what you want to do. And those protesters, I mean, they broke through that fence the other night. So they erected a second fence, right, to start to stop them. These people, they're not nice people. I saw a clip, of protesters just yelling and screaming and calling this, Chicago cop all kinds of names, and all kinds of things like that. That guy, I give that guy credit. He didn't flinch. He just stoic as ever and everything.
There did his job. I saw that.
So I give him credit, but they want more. I don't know. I mean, they're trying to rabble rouse and stir people up.
They don't want to leave Chicago without a promise that they're going to push to quit sending arms to Israel. They want it in the platform that the Democrats will embargo arms to Israel.
Well,
right.
And Biden kind of gave him a little bit, right? Didn't he?
He said they have a point.
Yeah.
So you know they're going to have to, which is a nice little, right, little hand grenade to toss in there because why would those guys leave until you give them your word? You can't give them your word because you don't have that leverage on Netanyahu, and B, it's not in our strategic interest.
Yeah. I thought when he said that, okay, why? I mean, why would you say that anyway? Though, you're only encouraging them by saying they have a point.
Right.
That's
right.
Rather than saying like, this is what our policy is in the administration. But this is another problem that Harris is going to face is exactly what is her policy regarding the Middle East, regarding Gaza and Israel. And that with all those protesters out there, representing the left, which she needs, and she's part of the left. She is not a middle of the road Democrat. She is a left wing Democrat.
Yeah, and she's inclined to say yes to them, right? Yeah, it's going to be every fiber of her being to keep from.
And so is Tim Walz, right? I mean, that Paris Walz ticket is a left-wing ticket,
right? And it's a pro-Hamas ticket. It's more. It's not just left-wing. It's also specifically pro-Hamas.
Yeah. They're in lockstep with each other on this. Harris also had $25,000 credit for first-time home buyers. The definition of first-time home buyer was kind of all over the board. I mean, it was pretty loose. That has also been condemned because,
well, actually, so what it is first-generation home buyer. So this is a program aimed at homes for immigrants, illegal immigrants. Right. So I think the point that Trump's starting to try to make, and I think it's a very good point to make, is that she has a long list of stuff she wants to do for people who snuck into the country. Right. And the things for the people who live here and are suffering under her policies, she does not have a lot to say to help them.
But as I was saying, so this plan has been widely panned by economists because it's the only thing it does is push housing prices up another $25,000.
Right. It just makes it go up, and it puts and they asked her how she's going to pay for it, right? And she's like, it's return on investment. We give people money, give people much money for child tax credit. You help those families. There's no telling what that kid will do.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. The Trump and Harris campaign are kind of in a race for who can offer the biggest child tax credit. So they both have. I think Harris is at 6,000. Vance talked about 5,000. But what the Democrats don't do, and the Republicans will do. I mean, they do a better job of this. Is that, as you said, they don't really talk about how they're going to pay for any of this.
Right.
They just
third thing is we don't really have to pay for it because you get return on investment.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's no placating.
That's true. If we could only make that happen.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's like. Yeah, you watch this, and you watch this compared to the Republican convention, and you're like, why are we in two different countries here? What's going on here? It's just two different views of the United States of America.
And why did she go to Milwaukee to have a rally when her convention's in Chicago?
Yeah, one can always dream.
That's right. That's about right.
Yeah. So this is just a crazy convention overall. And there's a clip of Waltz talking with Harris about white guy tacos. I mean, there's some of those bizarre things that come out. Also, Doug Emhoff, her husband, talking about introducing the country really to mayoral, right? Why she's called mayoral, and all of these things, and trying to paint. I don't know. I'm glad I don't stay up late enough to actually watch this stuff live, because it would drive me up a wall.
Yeah, the clips is better. Just let somebody pull the insanity for you.
Yeah, I know. I can only take this in small doses, man.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, they're it's hagiography. It's like the other one. I guess you've seen the one where they're in buying the Doritos in the convenience store. And they kicked everybody out of a Primanti Brothers in Pittsburgh so they could go in and have a regular folks looking sandwich with their Democrat supporters. And so you're sort of leaving a trail of mildly annoyed people in your wake, right? So I don't know.
That's the thing. Okay. I can see Tim Walz being kind of folksy and a little more down to earth. Okay, he's had that persona for a while. I do not see this with Kamala Harris. So she's not as bad as Hillary. But it's almost like putting Hillary together with, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. You're trying to create something with a person, trying to create an image with someone who's totally out of her element. She can't, the best she can do is just do that laugh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the whole thing. And this whole convention, what do they talk about? Joy. That's what they want.
Straight out of Nazi Germany,
Yeah, but all this. I also
mean, it is. That's a straight up Hitler get right there.
Yeah. Before I turn it over to wrap it up, I do want to say one other thing. As I was watching the news feed, so ABC News. I don't know the woman's name exactly, Mary something or other, I think. Anyway, she was doing an interview yesterday with a black one pastor, someone who had been a part of the DNC-backed committee in 2008, and she starts off by talking about Trump selling the Bible, right? And she's laughing, and she's not only is she laughing at it. She then takes her hand and kind of puts her hand on this pastor's the shoulder and stuff like that. She says, "I can't help it." And I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. You're a reporter for ABC News, right? Your role here is to interview and cover this convention. And you're now laughing and talking about Donald Trump, and you're actually making commentary now where you're laughing at Donald Trump selling Bible. Okay? I mean, I didn't think it was a great thing for Trump anyway, but whatever. But she is. This is it. This is the news media. This is part of that. Okay. If you ever thought that the news media was fair and balanced, go back and look at it and say, there's no way. She totally went over to decide that she was on when she did that. She just broke down laughing to talk about this thing. I thought, okay. No impartiality at all whatsoever. Once again, just you and I have.
They go on and they gripe that the press is against them. That's what kills me. It's like, bro, you have no idea.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's wrap it up, Brian. Take us out.
Let's see what else is in here. Turn down the fence. We covered George Santos pleads guilty. I'm glad SCOTUS blocked Biden's Title IX regs. It looks like the Kennedys are trying to find their way to helping Trump. Which is comical, or Robert, RFK, I guess the whole family's not in on it, but RFK is trying to figure out how to, they keep saying the phrase join forces, and I keep saying this thing, would be okay if Trump gave him a cabinet post. It's like, I guess there's probably some cabinet post you could put him on where he wouldn't do a whole lot of harm, but, that's not how all this should work, right? This guy, I want his voters, his 4% to come to us, right? But I, for one, am not willing to pay a whole lot for it. But that's what I
he probably like to be the EPA administrator or something like that, right?
Yeah, and so you can't put him there.
There's one place we can't go.
You can't go there. Can't go Attorney General. You know, maybe HUD. It's one of those. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of figure it out and bury him somewhere.
Yeah,
and all that. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, stay safe and stay well. Remember, we live in this country. We're not learning to tell you otherwise. And as always, God bless America. We'll see you next week. And Brian and I are going to the Astros-Orioles game on Saturday. Woo-hoo! See you then.
All right.